They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but when you're a wolf, revenge is served with fangs.
My name is Elara Ashwood, and this is the story of how I went from invisible Omega to the most powerful queen in the realm, all because my sister made one fatal mistake. She thought stealing my mate would destroy me. She had no idea it would awaken something far more dangerous. The grand hall was a cathedral of moonlight and ancient stone. Every wolf in the territory had gathered for the mate recognition ceremony, the one night a year when the moon goddess revealed fated bonds to those worthy of her blessing. I stood in the back, as always, invisible, forgotten. My sister, Seraphina, stood at the front in a gown that cost more than I'd earn in a lifetime. She was everything I wasn't. Beautiful, powerful, desired. She caught every eye in the room, except mine. Mine were locked on Rowan Blackthorn. I'd known for months. His scent had called to me like a song only I could hear, cedarwood and midnight rain. As the high priestess began the incantation, the air grew thick with power. I felt a tug in my chest, a golden thread pulling me toward the front, toward Rowan. This was it, the moment I would finally be seen. But then the light changed. Instead of the soft gold of the moon goddess, a harsh, dark purple light erupted from Seraphina's palms. She reached out, her eyes glowing with a forbidden hue, and grabbed Rowan's hands. The scream that tore from my throat was silenced by the collective gasp of the pack. The bond, it was shifting. I could see the golden thread snapping, being woven into the dark violet miasma Seraphina was conjuring. Rowan's eyes went blank, the warmth I'd seen in them for months vanishing, replaced by a dull, glazed-over stare. He looked at Seraphina, and for the first time, he didn't look past her. "My mate," Rowan whispered, his voice sounding hollow, like a man speaking in a dream. Seraphina looked back at me over her shoulder. She didn't look surprised. She looked victorious. She had stolen the one thing that was mine. The hallway outside the grand hall was empty and cold. I pressed my back against the stone wall and tried to remember how to breathe. She'd stolen him using dark magic, and no one would ever believe me. I was nothing but Omega trash. I had to leave tonight. I turned toward the servants' entrance and froze. The temperature in the hallway dropped 10 degrees. A scent hit me like a physical blow. Ash, thunderstorms, and something ancient, primal, and dangerous. The massive oak doors swung open, and Alpha King Draven Nightshade walked through. I should have run, but my feet wouldn't move, because his eyes had locked onto mine, and they were glowing gold. He was a legend, a nightmare, 7 feet of pure muscle and controlled violence. His eyes were molten gold, predator's eyes, and they were fixed on me. He stopped inches from me. "What's your name?" he demanded. His voice was gravel and smoke. I managed to whisper my name, and a dark, satisfied look moved through his expression. He leaned down, his lips brushing my ear. "You can watch your sister celebrate stealing what was yours," he whispered. "Or you can let me give you something she'll never be able to steal. Revenge." The doors burst open. The pack poured into the hallway, Seraphina and Rowan at the center. Draven's hand closed around my throat, possessively.
"This Omega," Draven's voice boomed, "is mine. I hereby invoke my right as Alpha King to claim Elara Ashwood as my mate."
I saw my sister's face, shocked, horrified, devastated. For the first time, I mattered. I whispered, "Yes." Draven leaned down, his fangs grazing my throat.
"Mine," he growled. But as the castle doors slammed shut behind us, I realized I'd just agreed to a mate bond with the Beast King. 23 women had been sent to his bed. None of them had survived the night. Draven's castle was exactly what you'd expect from a king called the Beast. Dark stone walls that seemed to swallow light, corridors that twisted like a labyrinth, and everywhere, the scent of blood and ash and barely restrained violence. He hadn't spoken since we left the grand hall. Now he stood in the center of his private chamber, a massive space dominated by a bed that could fit 5 people and windows that overlooked a deadly drop. "You can't leave," he said without turning around. "The claiming has been announced. If you run, it will be seen as a rejection. My enemies will use it as proof of weakness."
"I didn't agree to be your prisoner," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Why me? You don't know me. Why would you claim a random Omega?"
"You're not random," he said. He crossed the room, looming over me. "You're scent, lavender and wild honey, with an undertone of old magic, ancient bloodlines, power."
"I'm an Omega," I whispered. "I don't have power."
"That's what they want you to believe. The same people who killed your mother."
He moved to a desk and pulled out a leather-bound book. When he opened it, I saw a portrait, a woman with my face, my eyes, my hair.
"Your mother was the last of the Luna bloodline, the most powerful werewolf lineage in existence," Draven said. "She was murdered the night she was supposed to claim her throne. You were 6 months old. They took you, hid you, and used magic to suppress what you really are."
I couldn't breathe. "And Seraphina?"
"Seraphina isn't your sister. She's the daughter of the wolves who killed your family and stole your birthright."
"Why are you telling me this?" My voice cracked. "And what do you get out of this?"
For the first time, something like pain flickered across his face. "Survival," he said.
I should have run, but my feet wouldn't move because his eyes had locked onto mine and they were glowing gold. He was a legend, a nightmare, 7 feet of pure muscle and controlled violence. His eyes were molten gold, predator's eyes, and they were fixed on me.
He stopped inches from me. "What's your name?" he demanded. His voice was gravel and smoke. I managed to whisper my name, and a dark, satisfied look moved through his expression.
He leaned down, his lips brushing my ear. "You can watch your sister celebrate stealing what was yours," he whispered. "Or you can let me give you something she'll never be able to steal. Revenge."
The doors burst open. The pack poured into the hallway, Seraphina and Rowan at the center. Draven's hand closed around my throat. possessively.
"This Omega," Draven's voice boomed, "is mine. I hereby invoke my right as Alpha King to claim Elara Ashwood as my mate."
I saw my sister's face, shocked, horrified, devastated. For the first time, I mattered. I whispered, "Yes." Draven leaned down, his fangs grazing my throat. "Mine," he growled.
But as the castle doors slammed shut behind us, I realized I'd just agreed to a mate bond with the Beast King. 23 women had been sent to his bed. None of them had survived the night.
"You're using me," I whispered. "You claimed me for political reasons, to secure your throne."
"I'm saving you." His eyes flashed gold. "Would you rather I left you there, watching your sister parade your stolen mate around while you slowly died inside?" The words hit like a slap. Because he was right, Caden lowered his voice. 7 days, Draven. If you lose control trying to fight the council, you know what happens.
"What happens?" I asked.
"The beast takes over," Caden said, "and the man doesn't come back."
I looked at Draven. The scars, the tension. "You're cursed," I breathed.
"It's not a curse," Draven said, his eyes meeting mine. "It's poison. Someone has been slowly killing me for the last decade. The only thing that can break it is a true fated mate bond." The silence in the room was heavy. "Poison," I repeated. I looked at the dark veins pulsing faintly in his neck. He was the most powerful creature in the kingdom, yet he was dying. "It stops when I'm near you," Draven whispered. He took a step closer. The air between us crackled like the sky before a storm. "When you're close, the burning stops. The beast quiets down." He reached out. His hand, large and scarred, hovered inches from my cheek. He was trembling. The Alpha King was trembling. "May I?" he asked. I nodded. I couldn't speak. His fingertips brushed my skin. It wasn't just a touch. It was a collision. A jolt of liquid fire raced from my cheek straight to my core. It wasn't painful. It was electric. The room spun. I gasped, grabbing his wrist to steady myself, but that only made it stronger. Draven let out a sound that was half groan, half growl. His eyes slammed shut. "Gone," he breathed. "The pain, it's just gone." "You are the cure," he murmured, his thumb tracing my lower lip. "You are the only thing keeping me alive, Elara."
For the first time, I didn't feel like an invisible Omega. I felt like the most important thing in the world. The next 2 days were a blur of shadows and whispers. Since that night, since the touch, the pain in Draven's eyes had faded. He didn't lock me away. He let me explore the fortress. For the first time in my life, I wasn't invisible. I was the king's favorite. But peace is fragile when you're living in a castle built on war.
It started with a letter. Caden threw it onto the strategy table in the war room, his face pale. "They're not just challenging the claim, Draven," Caden said. "They're weaponizing it. Look!"
I looked at the parchment. It was a formal declaration from my old pack. From Seraphina.
The Omega, Elara Ashwood, has bewitched the king with forbidden shadow magic. We demand her return for purification. Furthermore, her true mate, Rowan Blackthorn, demands the right to challenge the king for her return.
She's lying, I said, my hands shaking. I don't have shadow magic. She does. She's projecting her crimes onto me.
It doesn't matter if it's a lie, Draven said. He was standing by the window, staring out at the gathering storm. It matters that the council believes it. They are afraid of my power. If they think you are controlling me, they will sanction a strike against the fortress.
Rowan, I whispered, does he really want to fight you? Or is Seraphina forcing him? Caden sighed. Reports say Rowan has been seen training day and night. But his eyes, the spies say they look dead, like a puppet.
They want to force a trial, Draven growled. If I refuse the challenge, I look weak. If I accept and kill Rowan, an innocent alpha under a spell, I look like a tyrant. It's a trap.
I looked at the king. He was ready to burn the world down to keep me, but I realized something. If I stayed the helpless Omega, I would be his weakness. I needed to be his strength.
Show me, I said, looking at the ancient books on the table. Show me what it means to be a lunar queen.
The next 48 hours were hell. The castle courtyard became my prison and my classroom. Draven didn't go easy on me. He couldn't afford to. If I was going to survive the politics of the lunar court, I needed to unlock the bloodline my mother had died to protect.
Focus, Draven roared, circling me like a predator. Stop thinking like an Omega. Stop thinking like a victim. That is exactly what Seraphina wants. She wants you small. She wants you afraid.
I can't, I shouted back, wiping blood from my lip. I was exhausted, bruised. There's nothing there. Maybe the books are wrong. Maybe I'm just broken.
Draven stopped. The air around him shimmered with heat. You are not broken, he growled. You are a queen buried under 18 years of lies. Hit me.
Something inside me snapped. The anger I'd been holding back since the ceremony, the rage at my sister, the grief for Rowan, the years of being invisible, it boiled over. I screamed and thrust my hand forward, expecting nothing but air.
Silence fell over the courtyard. I stared at my hands. They were glowing, not the purple of dark magic, but a blinding celestial silver. Moonlight, pure, unfiltered moonlight. Draven looked up, brushing dust from his chest. He wasn't angry, he was smiling, a dark, proud, terrifying smile. There she is, he whispered. I looked at him, the silver light pulsing in my veins like a second heartbeat. I wasn't in Omega anymore. I was the storm that was coming for them.
The high of unlocking my magic didn't last long. An hour later, the castle bells began to toll, a deep, mournful sound that signaled a challenge.
Caden burst into the courtyard, his face grim. He's here, he said. Rowan Blackthorn is at the gates. He has formally issued the challenge of blood. Draven went perfectly still. The beast was close to the surface now. Then it is finished, he said quietly. I will go down there. I will tear his throat out, and I will end this.
No, I grabbed Draven's arm. The sparks of silver light from my skin danced against his black shirt. You can't. Rowan is being controlled. If you kill him, you prove the council right. You become the monster they say you are.
I looked at him.
the most feared alpha in the world, ready to destroy everything just to keep me safe. But I wasn't the girl who hid in the back of the room anymore. I felt the lunar magic humming in my veins, ancient, silver, and ready.
Draven looked at me like I'd lost my mind. He is an alpha in his prime. He will snap you in half.
He is an alpha, I agreed, stepping closer, my eyes flashing silver. But I am not an Omega. You said it yourself, Draven. I am the daughter of the Lunar Queen, and it's time everyone, including my sister, learned exactly what that means.
I turned toward the gates. The challenge had been issued, but they were expecting a victim. They were about to get a queen. Elara has chosen her path, but the arena awaits. Will she defeat Rowan, or will the council tear her apart? Part 2 is coming soon. Comment Team Elara if you think she will win, and subscribe so you're the first to see the battle.